It's always Gold FM for us at Golden Point, Raki.
Gold FM is #1 in Lusaka.
Gold FM is Nelly's best radio station.
It's always Gold FM with us here in Singapore.
Old is gold and Gold FM is #1 here in Lusaka.
Singapore loves classic hits on Gold FM.
Listen to Gold FM here in Tagua.
We love Gold FM in Ba.
We've got beautiful beaches, people, and Gold FM in Raki.
Lotoka loves the classic hits on Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In the news tonight, media industry reminded of role in Fiji's democratic process. Family loses home and shop in fire. And children get a surprise visit from the president. Good evening and welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Fiji's Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has written to the South African President Jacob Zuma expressing the sympathy of the Fijian people at the passing of Nelson Mandela. In his letter, Bainimarama says every Fijian is deeply saddened by Mandela's death, adding it is not only a loss for the South African people. He says Madiba, as he is commonly known, has touched the lives of billions around the world, including every Pacific Islander. Bainimarama says Fiji keenly feels his passing and conveyed the Fijian people's profound regret and condolences to the government and people of South Africa. He stated in the letter that Mandela gained global fame for his struggle against the evil of apartheid, but he will be most remembered for the way in which he reconciled former enemies, united all South Africans, and set the nation on a different path. Bainimarama says this is an example to the whole world and will continue to set a benchmark of exemplary national leadership. Bainimarama says the thoughts of every Fijian are with the South African people as they mourn the loss of this great man who was not only leader of South Africa, but a beacon of courage, decency and selflessness for the whole world. The media industry in Fiji is going through one of its most challenging periods in history. And with elections coming up in September 2014, the work of journalists has been one of the issues that has been significantly discussed at the Attorney General's conference. The Media Industry Development Authority says the media will play an integral part in the elections process.
Since 2006, Fiji's media industry has been under the government's microscope. New laws now governing how media operate, with hefty fines and imprisonment if there is misconduct.
The 2010 decree attracted criticism from select sections, decrying that the decree was an attempt to muzzle free press by an unelected government. Alarmingly, little effort has been made to actually enter the protocols of the decree and read through its provisions, which provides a nuanced framework for the enforcement of media standards and in fact goes on to protect journalists.
The new constitution underpins what many still debate: freedom of media and freedom of expression. With elections less than 9 months away, the role of the media will be important, leading up to democracy.
So what role can and should the media play? 1, of a watchdog. 2, voter education. 3, peace building and promoting national cohesiveness. And there's many more, but I just want to stick to these in the interest of time.
A veteran in the broadcasting industry believes there must be a review of the media decree.
So we have several recommendations. One is we do need a review of the media decree. Ashwin's already alluded to the electoral decree. Now, once that electoral decree is out, we need to be able to look at the media decree and ensure that there's synergy, harmonization, and that it is in line also with Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Communications Fiji Limited News Director Vijay Narayan says journalists in Fiji report on issues without fear, despite what critics say.
But now, there's no limitations. If you follow the code of ethics, you can ask any question. As you can see, what's happening in this conference. You have to achieve balance. Fact-checking is important.
The role of the media in a constitutional democracy has been highlighted. Each journalist must continue to provide a balanced and fair report without any political bias. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Attorney General and Minister for Elections Ayaz Syed Qayyum has confirmed that the government is exploring options of having a paid public holiday next year for elections. Syed Qayyum says about 3,000 polling stations will be set up around the country.
We're exploring that opportunity. We believe it will be a good thing to do, a paid public holiday, where people will have all the time to go and vote. And the idea is, because we want to have elections in one day, it gives everybody, you know, a good, no excuse basically to not vote.
The government is in consultations to recruit and train over 1,000 casual staff to man polling stations next year. A family in Nandi has lost their shop and 3-bedroom house in a fire at Nawai Dhomba in Nandi this morning. This building, which contained both the shop and house, was burned down after a fire broke out at around 11:30. National Fire Authority CEO John O'Connor says by the time they arrived, the fire had engulfed the whole property. O'Connor says firemen then tried to contain the blaze and to minimize any further damage. He says their team in Nandi will investigate the cause of the incident. The family of 8, including a 2-year-old, managed to escape from the fire. Patients at the children's ward of the CWM hospital in Suva were in for a surprise today when they were visited by the President Ratu Epeli Nailatikau. For many of these children, it is an early Christmas celebration when they were handed gifts from the President. And in his usual manner, the President mingled amongst the parents and children who are admitted at the ward. Parents say the visit gave them courage and hope for their children.
It's a wonderful surprise, especially for the children in the ward, for having someone of that stature to come and visit them at this time of the year.
So I was very obliged to see that our President really cares about the children in Fiji.
The event today was organized by teachers of International Secondary School in Suva. And coming up, Hearty Patients thank Foundation for life-saving treatment.
Coming up, volunteers recognized for giving up their time for a good cause.
Today FM is #1 here in Singapore.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
I love Today FM because they play the awesome song.
Loto kasi di love Today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Univer Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Bulan 2 saya Tolu FM, enapan 2 raki-raki.
Bula FM namban 2 inosor.
Go etabo ke boto kola sa Bula FM nga.
Bula FM namban 2 korbo.
Bula FM namban 2 sawa. Bula FM namban 2 lotoka. Bula.
Namban 2 nam Bula FM memba.
Bula FM namban 2 NSR in Singapore.
Lo tali tak da warong nam Bula FM lotoka.
Du ali akar warong Bula FM namban 2 NSR.
Bula FM namban 2 NSR.
Welcome back to FBC News. Fiji has offered to host the next high-level Pacific meeting on environment and conservation in 2014. Speaking at the closing of the 9th Pacific Islands Conference on Conservation and Protected Areas, Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says Fiji will ensure a strong participation of Pacific countries to building a stronger alliance. Api Salamedoka has more.
Fiji's Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says Fiji is proud to have assumed the chair of the conference and the responsibility of guiding the collective agenda forward.
We have seen it as our duty to provide enlightened and purposeful leadership, create an inclusive environment where a range of opinions can be heard, try to forge a consensus, achieve positive outcomes, and insist that those outcomes be implemented and tested against measurable performance standards.
Bainimarama says the many challenges Pacific Island countries face in conservation efforts require resolute action, and now is the time to act.
This is the prime reason why Fiji has pressed for and offered to host a high-level meeting by the end of April 2014. We have the next few months to process all of the measures that we have adopted here in Suva and forge a stronger action plan build a stronger alliance.
The Prime Minister then highlighted the plight of the people of Kiribati, who now risk losing their island to climate change.
The government of Kiribati, a nation whose very existence is threatened, has bought a significant land holding of 6,000 acres on our second major island in Vunolevu, as something of an insurance policy against that threat. If the sea level continues to rise because the world won't tackle global warming, some or all of the people of Kiribati may have to come to Fiji and live in Fiji.
Bainimarama says it is the right of every Pacific Islander to survive the devastating effect of climate change. Apisolome Doka, FBC News.
Parents of children treated for congenital heart defects today gathered in Suva to thank the Children's Heart Foundation and its sponsors, the Vodafone ATH Fiji Foundation. To date, the organization has sponsored 71 children to undergo medical treatment in India. Ritika Pratap reports.
Emo Singh Yoni Baravi is one of the many parents who are grateful to the foundation for giving him and his family hope. Yoni Baravi's son was born with a congenital defect in his heart, but now he is an active and normal 6-year-old boy.
Heart Foundation has been very helpful to unfortunate families that cannot afford overseas medical treatment, and we are grateful for Vodafone that for the past years, since 2007, have taken children overseas, especially to India, to have their heart operation.
The Children's Heart Foundation was established in 2006, and the first batch of children with congenital defects were sent a year later to India for treatment. Each child had to undergo a screening process before they were selected for operation.
We look at the background, we look at their financial status, and most of these children will qualify for an assistance because they cannot afford such huge amounts of money to have treatment, especially surgery.
Over $250,000 has been spent by ATH Fiji Foundation on 71 children. 6 of them did not make it.
We have very good success rates because the children are screened, so we know that they are fit to fly and probably they'll make it through the surgery.
The organization sent its first patient to New Zealand last week as the child was not fit to travel to India. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Church leaders have been inspired by Congress WBN, a global faith-based organization, to be more effective in empowering people who face challenges and crisis. President and founder of WBN, Dr. Noel Woodruff, while hosting a regional reformation seminar at the Pacific Theological College, says, in a world of increasing crisis, there is a need for leaders to understand global, economical and political changes. He says the leaders of the Pacific region are not immune to the global changes, and the pressure is rising for them to find the sustainable solution.
There's crisis in the earth, economic crisis, social crisis, political crisis. There's crisis on every level. People are undergoing a serious amount of pressure in their normal lives. And so churches or faith-based institutions need to be relevant to provide them with the living principles, with the standards, with the values, and with the definitions that will allow these people to become victorious or dominant or survive and have success in the midst of the crisis of the earth today.
The seminar ends tomorrow. The response to the 16 days of activism against violence against women has been overwhelming. The Fiji Women's Crisis Centre, leading the campaign, says this is an important time for those advocating women's rights. Ritika Pratap reports.
Since the campaign began, there have been marches and workshops around the country to educate women on their rights. The Fiji Women's Crisis Centre has been at the forefront of the campaign.
Continuing our lobby with law enforcement, with the government and so on, that goes on, and it's all going to culminate on the 10th of December when we have the World Human Rights March.
Shamima Ali says the support from all cross-sections of Fiji has been overwhelming.
Because this is an issue that touches all their lives, and what is good to see is the men are getting involved also at village level, at community level, and there is a lot of discussions around the issues, particularly domestic violence, rape and sexual assault and child sexual abuse.
The Crisis Centre has done a national survey and the results will be launched on Monday.
That has shown us where we are not doing our work and where we need to go, and our next strategy for the next 10 years is going to be to get into places where we find the highest incidence and prevalence of violence against women and girls and children.
According to Ali, violence against women is still high in Fiji. 60% of women that have ever been in an intimate relationship have suffered some sort of violence and abuse. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Disasters that recently struck Fiji caused major destruction to businesses, and the UN Global Assessment Report on Disaster Risk Reduction warns that the worst is yet to come. Businesses rely heavily on computers for data storage and operations. So to help them protect data during disasters or other major incidents like fires, Digicel has launched a new service to help data recovery.
Digicel Business has invested in cloud-based technology to provide a secure data storage and recovery service to the Fijian business community that is commonly available in overseas developed markets. Importantly, this service requires no capital investment by the business and is bound by strict service level guarantees that give 100% assurance of data recovery in the event of a disaster.
Craig Smith says the damage caused by a prolonged interruption can be limited or completely avoided. Now coming up on FBC Sport, primary netters undergo trial for Pacific turning.
देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2 is number 1 in Singatoka.
मैं लंबासा के निवासी, मेरा नाम प्रेम चंद्रा है। देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2 को मेरा सलाम।
नैनी में देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2।
रेडियो फीजी 2 में देश की धड़कन मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है।
रेडियो फीजी 2 is number 1 in Singatoka।
नैनी में मेरा धड़कन है रेडियो फीजी 2।
हम ननुपुर की किरी रहता है और हम रेडियो फीजी 2 हरदम सुनता है।
हमें रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनो बहुत अच्छा लगे, आप भी रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनो।
देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2।
Talita na radio Fiji 1 na mwira ni nondo konoa.
Ando talita kana borro na radio Fiji 1 Singatoka mbole ni station ni Alumatu.
Ando talita ka bale una borro na radio Fiji 1 station ni Alumatu Lotoka.
Ando talita ka bale una borro na radio Fiji 1 Mandi na station ni Alumatu.
Au tuko korbo ando borro mo leve na station ni Alumatu na radio Fiji 1. Do borro na radio Fiji 1 na station ni Alumatu na mandoi tele.
Na radio Fiji 1 nando moi vitina bonga ni BNN.
Welcome to FBC Sports. Now the Australian seven-side is expected to put up a fight in their opening match against Fiji in the South Africa Sevens this weekend. The first match in any tournament is always the hardest, as teams find it hard to settle down and find their rhythm. Should Fiji top their pool, they will set themselves up for a semi-final rematch against New Zealand.
They are strong, they're determined, they are great with the ball, but off the ball, Australia have their problems. We play them. If we beat them, we're on the way to topping the table, and that, of course, means at the end we meet up with New Zealand. I'm sad that we've got to meet New Zealand in the semi-finals. I wish to goodness it would be the final instead of the semi.
Fiji will tackle Australia at 11:28 p.m. tonight before battling France at 2:34 a.m. tomorrow. The last pool match is against Scotland at 6:14 a.m. Primary school netballers converged at the National Netball Centre in Suva today to vie for a spot to the Pacific Netball Tournament in Auckland, New Zealand next year. With Fiji to send 2 teams to the regional competition, the young netters pulled all stops in an effort to make the cut. Chalendau Dakadaka has more.
After 2 main trials earlier this year, selectors were sure that the best players in the under-12 age grade were present for the final trial today.
The girls that are here are the cream from those 2 trials, and we have girls right from the Vanolebu districts, the Kondrove. We have girls right from the Kondrove, Bua, Madhuata, and also from Ovalau Moturiki.
24 spots are up for grabs. Officials are adamant that such tours can only serve well for the sport in the long term.
This is the first time for Fiji primary schools trip overseas, and mainly it's for the development of our girls and the exposure of our Fiji primary schools netters.
The Pacific Netball Tournament will be held in early October next year. Tsalendo Dakadak, FBC Sports.
The athletic season started off this morning on a low profile at the ANZ Stadium in Suva. Athletes were looking to impress officials with their times as the build-up begins for the Nanjing Youth Olympic Games in China next year. These young prospects were scouted from the Coca-Cola Games earlier this year. Making the team will not be the end. They still have to attend the Youth Olympic qualifiers in Sydney in March next year. The next athletics competition will be held in 2 weeks' time. The annual Fiji National Sailing Championships got underway today in Suva. Young sailors from Suva and Savu went head-to-head in the Around Suva Harbour race. Chalendo Dakadaka reports.
After final checkups and a full briefing on rules and safety precautions, these young sailors hit the water for the annual race. The vessels may all look the same to the untrained eye, but apparently there is more to it than just a sail and a mast.
And this is our nationals. We have Hobie Cats, we have B-Class, it's called. It's all the different yachts that we have here. We have lasers, the fast dinghy boats, and the Optimist. Those are the beginner boats that every sailor actually starts in as a child.
Organizers are hoping to rope in more sailors in the coming months.
We try to go around in all of Fiti Levu actually, because we want to promote sailing more. We hope that Vunda is going to get another sailing school as well, because I represent junior sailing from the age from 8 to 18.
The National Sailing Championships ends tomorrow. Chalendo Dakadak, FBC Sports.
Overall, I would say we had fine weather with a bit of shower and clouds here and there. Now looking at the temperature chart, Suva and Savu and Lambasa had cloudy periods and showers from the morning as well as the afternoon. The Western Division, however, had fine weather in the morning, but by 3 p.m. there were clouds and showers. Bar recorded the lowest temperature on the chart today, hitting 29 degrees. Lambasa was the hottest with 33 degrees. Taking a quick look at tomorrow's forecast, the west will have fine weather in the morning, but by the afternoon it will join Suva, Savu and Lambasa in having some showers and clouds. As for the further outlook, some showers of the most places, east to northeast winds 20 to 25 knots and rough seas are expected. The headlines once again. Media industry reminded of role in Fiji's democratic process. Family loses home and shop in fire. And children get a surprise visit from the president. Now for this week's poll question. We're asking, can Fiji win the 2013-2014 IRB World 7 Series? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email, citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj, or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us on your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. Now that's news for today. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good evening.
Old Town Tower में it's only Mirchi FM.
Mirchi FM is hot. ताकि हर घर में खाली Mirchi FM बजे. Mirchi FM is hot.
Best sound, best music. Mirchi FM rocks and records.
नानी का #1 station है Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM is hot. Mirchi FM is #1 in nursery.
Mirchi FM is hot. हम लोग Mirchi FM रोज सुनता है. Mirchi FM जागो मामा. Mirchi FM